What's up guys, today we're going to be going over the new Middle Tree Voidwalker buffs which were to the Handheld Supernova along with the Super, and we're going to be seeing if they're viable to use for in-game content now, and finally going over a cool build you can do with Handheld Supernova. So if we first look at what the buffs were, at the beginning of the season, Handheld Supernova and Nova Warp got buffed, but got buffed again with this most recent update, now doing an additional 30% more damage to champions and bosses. So it seems like Middle Tree should be pretty good for in-game content now, so that's what this video is going to be about. So if we first look at damage on Carl with Handheld Supernova, it's going for 10,265 times. Now looking at the Super, when you pop it, it's going to do a half detonation for 26.6 thousand. If you fully charge it, you'll hit for 58,000, and you'll be able to do 7 of the full charges before you run out of your Super. So it's going to be quite a lot of damage from this Super, among one of the highest in the game. As you see, if we add up all the numbers, the total for the Handheld Supernova was 51.3 thousand, while the Super was 437,000, which is quite a lot, right up there with some of the best Supers in the game. And these numbers are the exact same versus bosses and champions, so for this, Carl is considered a boss. It's hard to tell when he is or isn't. So right off the bat, those are some pretty solid numbers for total damage output just from your abilities. So what can we do to up those numbers? For the Handheld Supernova, we can start off with Verity's Brow. Among all the cool things it does, it will double the damage of your grenade. So what we can do is pair that with a void weapon of choice. I'm using the corrective measure because mine has demo on it, and if you get 5 kills and get death throws times 5, it will then double your Handheld Supernova damage, and now that will hit for 20,520 times 5. The next thing we can do completely by ourselves is add in a debuff, for example Tractor Cannon. This allows you to take up your exotic slot and your power slot, and will add 30% more damage, now going to 26.6 thousand. The other route you could take is, instead of a debuff, you could go with Focusing Lens and pair that with something like the exotic stasis sidearm that will freeze any target you want. So now looking at damage with that, Focusing Lens is usually a 25% buff, but as we saw with Peregrine Greaves, if the target is frozen, it's way higher. But for some reason with Handheld Supernova, that doesn't work. It's only going to be that 25% increase. So using Tractor Cannon as a debuff seems to be a little bit more damage, but in some activities right now, there are snowballs on the ground. So with the Dawning going on, you could overlap both the debuff and the Focusing Lens completely by yourself. So that is something you could do in Legend Lost sectors, along with most Nightfalls. But obviously that will not last, and we shouldn't be relying on that to determine if it's worth using the subclass in in-game content. So overall, this build is shaping up a lot like the Peregrine Greaves build I uploaded a few days ago. So let's just see how it matches up. In a 1320 Lost sector, looking at damage on a champion with times 5 death throws, along with a debuff, which was the highest damage we could do. As you see, it will not even kill the champion, and this is only a 1320, so not to mention a Master or GM where the Peregrine Greaves will still being able to one-hit the champion. And when I was testing this, I actually prefer to run the Focusing Lens version of this just to freeze the target and make them not move. Obviously that's going to help out a lot with overload champions, and not to mention it frees up my heavy slot for ad clear. And sometimes it got them low enough where you could then finish them, but also most of the times it didn't, and they would just start regenerating health. And it's the same for all champions. It would be right on that edge of being able to finish them. So overall, it's not quite doing the damage output that the Peregrine Greaves was doing. So in terms of a solo build, it's not that good. Verity's Brow also requires a lot of setup to make it work, and you're going to be taking up your exotic slot to either debuff or freeze them. So I think the real use of Handheld Supernova in in-game content will be in fireteam activities using the Controverse Hold. And it's not going to be meant to just one-hit the champions. This is going to be a good chunk of damage to start off a champion. Then after that, between you and your fireteam members, you'll just finish them with whatever. And that will kind of help you maintain your ammo and not have to use as much ammo on champions if a good chunk of it is coming from an ability that will recharge. So for that, I definitely seen it being useful in PvE in-game content. But overall, I don't think it's enough of a buff to make me jump on the subclass and start using it right away. Maybe in the future with the right artifact mods, there could be some really cool builds. But as of right now, I don't think there's enough going on to make it really like a top pick for in-game content. But I didn't want to leave you guys with nothing from this video, so I went ahead and made a cool build for Handheld Supernova just in general gameplay. And for this, we're going to be starting off with really whatever weapons you want. I'm using the Stasis Sidearm to freeze targets and still take advantage of Focusing Lens. Then I'm also using the Glacial Chasm and the Demo Corrective Measure. But once again, really whatever weapons you want. And our exotic armor piece will be the Controverse Hold, which will give us a chunk of our grenade back whenever we use it. And the rest of it will be kind of like a throwback build. We have the Elemental Ordnance along with Elemental Charge to become Chargeable Light when we get the grenade kills. I also, on my gauntlets, have 2 momentum transfers because we'll be using our grenade very often, and that'll help us get our melee back. Then finally, the rest of the build will be a throwback to firepower, so I'm using 3 of them to get a huge chunk of our grenade right when we throw it. So now with this build, the way it works is on your first grenade, you'll get roughly 50-60% of your grenade back, if not all of it, depending on how many kills you get. But then after that, you just pick up the Void Elemental Will every single time, become Chargeable Light, and just from that and getting a single kill, you will have infinite Handheld Supernovas, and they will just constantly chain into the next as long as you get a single kill. Then if there's some situations where you don't, which kind of happens every once in a while, you just simply use your melee and proc Dark Matter once again, and you'll have your next grenade. I'm also using a demo corrective measure in the off chance that I need extra grenade energy. Also, if I get up to a big group or a higher health target, I still have the Stasis Sidearm to freeze them. That way I get the extra 25% with the Focusing Lens. So overall, truly infinite Handheld Supernovas that do quite a bit of damage in PvE. You'll easily one-hit entire groups of red bars, one-hit majors, and even one-hit some of the higher health targets. For example, Lost Sector bosses or like mini bosses throughout strikes. I'm going to go ahead and link the dim loadout in the comments below. So definitely check that out and have fun with that. The rest of the video will just be some strike gameplay. Like usual, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.